When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world.
I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings. You're watching SeptumSin versus the world. I'm SeptumSin. I'm here with Kotobuki Jake.
Hi.
We're here to inform you about what's coming out. So, before we get to what's arriving, let us say goodbye to those people who are leaving us this week. Take a look.
She was living on couches that belonged to her friends. She would sleep with her feet in her shins hanging over the ends, looking over her shoulder, never knowing herself. I believe she could never fit in till somebody new came along. He was singing at weddings where the money was good, taking turns singing hits for the pants on the single girl stood. Never want to get lucky, never making a play. By the words you can learn on the lines, but they never stay too long. Stay too long. One day you're gonna meet that someone. They're gonna turn your whole world around, upside down. Watch out, they're gonna be a better how. They're gonna see it's all one big lie, one big lie. Sleeping from a wedding where he made the wrong move. Took a pass at the bride who he thought was keeping him cute. Turning a tight corner, he saw someone in the light. Couldn't make out if she was breathing or still alive. You're gonna meet that someone.
Alright. So, I only had two on my radar.
Okay.
Charlotte Rae, who, those of you who have been a child of the 80s, like myself,
Right.
would know her from the Facts of Life. She was Mrs. Garrett. She was also on, I think it was Different
Different
Strokes.
strokes. Yeah.
I can never remember which one came first. Chicken, egg, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was a show I don't remember much of other than the theme song. I just know it was a bunch of girls boarding at this boarding house where they're going to sort of a private school.
Ah.
And I knew it was on TV a lot when I was a child. So I knew Mrs. Garrett, and she was the one that stuck out the most out of all of them. She will be missed.
And she had a long. Did you say how old she was?
92.
92. She had a long and fairly diverse career, and one of the more interesting ones. I think I was aware of this, but I had forgotten about it, and I really want to track this down now. Apparently, if you're at all familiar with British, Britcoms, as they say, there's a wonderful show called Are You Being Served? And apparently it was remade as an American TV movie called Beans of Boston. And the character of Miss Slocum, very strange character, was apparently played by Miss Ray in the American version. So I gotta find that show. I'm just curious about it, but
Also, John Blair Moore, who died at 70, was heavily involved with the series Darkwing Duck, amongst other things.
big
And
part of our childhood.
as I said, another big part of childhood. Disney Afternoon was a big thing for me as a young teen growing up. I think it was late 80s, early 90s was when it was popular. You had DuckTales, Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck.
Yes.
And Tailspin. I forgot Tailspin.
Can't forget Tailspin.
Yeah, this is weird. I have the entire Tailspin series. I can't get all of the other two. Or other three. I don't understand that. Why does Tailspin get a full release, but the other three on that list can't get a full release?
It's the mouse.
Yeah, the mouse knows all. Evil mouse.
All right.
I know you had somebody who died.
Yeah, I wanted to make note of a couple of them as well, and both of those were ones I was kind of interested in. I do want to add a name to the list because we're trying to do a pretty definitive Sunday to Saturday list. Just because death announcements aren't always immediate, and we're trying to make sure we catch everybody, but just the timing of it, people slip through the cracks. We're trying to prevent that. But one announcement that came out since we put the list together, there's an Australian hip-hop artist who went by the name of Skipaz. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but Skipaz. But he was 30, and he was apparently killed in a homicide. But I hate to say it, but it's become a grim joke that so many hip-hop artists are dying lately. And it's been all over the map. The reasons have been all over the map, but I wanted to make sure we at least gave him a quick shout out. And there were two really notable ones, I think, to add to the ones he mentioned. One was French actor Etienne Chicot, who is probably best known to American audiences, and certainly I can best visualize him as the inspector in Ron Howard's The Da Vinci Code. Now, The Da Vinci Code was not the most exciting film in the world. In fact, it was kind of dull.
The best out of the three, from what I've heard, though.
I haven't even seen the others. But I liked Chicot's character. I remember his performance, and I remember it being a high point in the film. And he did have a rather lengthy career, a lot of French films, but he also showed up in some other stuff. And the other one that I'll mention, again, had a very lengthy career, was Richard H. Klein, cinematographer, probably best known for the Star Trek, the motion picture, for Camelot. He also did the cinematography for Michael Crichton's The Andromeda Strain. He did Soylent Green, Hang 'em High, the old Clint Eastwood film. But if nothing else, the man can be remembered for ages upon ages for doing Howard the Duck. How's that for a diverse...
It's only a model.
But seriously, I've seen Hang 'em High, and I've seen The Andromeda Strain and the Star Trek movie. I have not seen Howard the Duck. I'm a poor child of the 80s. Or Soylent Green for that matter. But those are very notable movies, and so I definitely wanted to make sure the two of them got a good shout out for that. So we up to the new releases.
Speaking of movies,
Speaking of,
here's what's coming to a theater
yes.
near you. I only have one that caught my eye, and that was Puppet Master Littlest Right. And the reason why I caught this is because this is the newest of the Puppet Master films. They kind of got a revival with this Axis trilogy, and this one's following on the heels of that.
Right.
If you're following the timeline, this one occurs as the latest. So if you got the Puppet Master set like I did, you can still rewatch all of them and watch this one last. Just, as a little treat at the end.
Right.
And Full Moon doesn't cost too much with a lot of their individual stuff. You can catch stuff on sale. I'm sure that by the time the summer sale runs around next year, this will be easily available. I know you've got some.
Yes, there are a couple of big, wide release films coming out this week that are at least caught up my attention. At least they're pretty interesting. One is...
See, that one isn't coming out till next week.
Yeah, I thought, next
20
week.
something. This coming week is what we've got in this one.
Yeah, starting on Friday
It's starting this week, this Thursday.
Yeah, so this will be that coming week, so we should mention it. Anyway,
so next week...
Well, I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
But he's looking over my shoulder here trying to... Okay, so the big releases for the week... There's a new The Little Mermaid.
Yes.
We don't know a huge amount about it. This is probably an issue of Hollywood has to do everything in pairs, and Disney is working on a live-action remake of The Little Mermaid. And of course, last summer we got our American release of Galore. So obviously there has to be another original production to fit into the theme. We've seen the trailer. I can't really tell from the trailer if it's supposed to be based on the same story, but I think it is. It's hard to say how Disneyfied it's going to be, or if it's going in a different direction.
Kind of reminds me of that one we watched, She Creature.
A little bit, yeah. So I'm curious about this one, but I'm not going to rush to see it. The other one I'm curious about, Kevin Kwan has a best-selling book called Crazy Rich Asians. And that's coming out, the movie adaptation is coming out this week. I'm been of two minds about these books. I'm kind of curious. Sometimes I like reading about... He's got another book called Rich People Problems, too. And I kind of want to read them because the titles kind of amuse me, but I haven't gotten to them yet. But I'm going to be straight up here. The main reason I want to see the movie is to see a lot of cute Asians. I mean...
Yeah.
But I do want to see the movie. I won't rush out to see it. But what we were just debating was there's some Fathom events going on. I was very disappointed. By the time this is posted, the movie's done. It'll be over.
Yeah.
But Ghibli Fest this month, they're playing Grave of the Fireflies, and I'm so annoyed I won't get to go. I've seen the movie a couple of times. It's not a movie I'd rush to see again, but I'd love to say I saw it in theaters, because it is the greatest animated film ever made. But next week, we have a new anime, one that is very un-anime-ish. And because of that, I do think this one has Oscar potential. It has gotten a lot of awards buzz. It's called The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. And it will be playing next week on Tuesday and Wednesday, August 21st and 22nd. I will go see that.
And we'll cover it again next
Yes.
week when I cover the releases for
Yes.
next week as well. I'm guessing it was just that you wanted to make sure it was double.
No, this is next week. We are doing next... Okay, we had to... I had not realized how he set up our thing for movies. But at any rate, it's good to have advance notice.
Yeah, well, seeing as it's
And
running 2
apparently
days.
Sunday there's something called Cat Video Fest.
I wonder if they have the one that's playing the piano.
I don't know, but that sounds awesome. I don't know if I'll get to see it, though. Alright, so are we ready to do the actual home releases here?
Yes, so here's what's coming out next week in a store near you. Alright, well, I only have two things. I know you got more to cover.
Go for it.
I know one of them does overlap, but I'm getting it on Steelbook. So
You
I
lucky
look forward to
bastard.
this. I'm getting both of these on Steelbook. Deadpool 2, which also, if you haven't picked up the first one, I don't know why, there's been a million iterations of that one coming out.
They're not by any chance doing a 2 for Steelbook, are they?
I don't know if they're doing a Steelbook for 2, but they are doing a double release. Which
I know.
is
I saw
cool.
the double release. Yeah,
I would not be surprised, though.
If they do a 2 for Steelbook, I might have to do that.
There's also Ash versus the Evil Dead, Season 3, which is unfortunately the last season.
Oh,
But I'm getting that on the Steelbook as well from Best Buy. That's an exclusive. And I cannot wait to see it. I have not checked out. We dropped our Star subscription. So this is my first chance to see this particular series. Oh, not series, season. Because I've seen the other two. It's an excellent series. That's it
well,
for me.
I say, but I've only seen a very little bit. But I mean, Ash is pretty cool. It's Bruce Campbell, one of his classic roles. As far as I want to comment, of course, Deadpool 2 it's worthy of multiple comment. That was a fun movie. I may not get it right away, like I was just saying. I have the first one, and it's just a bare bones basic edition. I may pick up a basic bare bones edition of Deadpool 2, and then one day, 8-9 years from now, they need to do a Criterion release of the 2 films. That would be... Well, they'll probably have more by then.
A Criterion release.
I'm
can't
serious.
see that.
I could see... that would be so awesome. And then, speaking of Criterion, they do have a release this week. And it's a very notable one. The Ernst Lubst... did I say that right? I hope I did. Old film called Heaven Can Wait. Very big release. I'm going to have to get that eventually. That's a movie I need to see. And speaking of re-releases of classic films, a decidedly less classic film from a somewhat less impressive company, but still impressive. Shout Select will have a new release this week. One of the very few David Lynch films that's not 100% likely to get a Criterion release. Wild at Heart.
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting and weird film. Weird film. Nick Cage, Laura Dern. Who's the mother again? Is it
It's been too long.
And then, of course, one of the creepiest of all the creepy performances that Willem Dafoe has ever given. Oh, he gave me the chills in that friggin' movie. Anyway, we also have more Gundam. We just have to point that out.
Always more Gundam.
Gotham Season 4. Big release. Wasn't that the one where they introduced Ra's al Ghul?
Yeah.
I believe so. I think we kind of drifted away from this series. I still want to collect it and watch it. I like the series, but it has gone so far off base from the comics.
Yeah. I have intent to collect it,
Yeah.
but I'm collecting it on Black Fridays when they come out.
I got the first 3. I'll get Season 4 eventually.
Yeah.
If it's nice and cheap this Black Friday, hopefully. And then I do want to mention, you were talking last week about Funimation is starting some...
the classics.
yeah, they've got a re-release of High School DxD, which of course is a very much a classic. Well, from what I've heard, it's a fun show. And then, speaking of highbrow stuff, Aniplex is moving on with Aramo with second season.
Sadly, the original release cost me less than what they're charging for it now.
And this week also notably has some very, very low-rated stuff coming out, too. Action Point with Johnny Knoxville, Armed Girls Machiavellianism, you know, some very low-rated stuff. So it's a mixed bag this week, but some of it is awesome.
That deer in the headlights part of me does want to see the Knoxville film.
Deer in the headlights, huh?
Yeah, that part in us all that just aims to be punished.
There's a little jackass in every one of us.
And on that note, we will bid you adieu, but we will see you, hopefully, on the next one. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. All right, take care.
Goodbye.